Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're gonna build a website portfolio together. We will build the whole thing using just HTML and CSS. So on this good hour we're going to spend together, I'm gonna teach you some shortcuts on VS Code, and this is going to help you a lot in the future to make you code faster and more efficiently. How to run your workflow and troubleshooting. We're gonna talk about design principles that you can apply on every project. We'll touch a little bit of color theory, how to compress your images to be web ready, and of course you will end up with your own portfolio that you can upload on the web and show it around to your friends or even send it to companies to get hired. So a little bit of role playing is going to be included. We will pretend that you are working already in a company and the graphic design department sends you the draft. Of course, I made the draft and the graphics we're going to use, but the good news is that you can download everything for free and use it on your website. So who is this tutorial for? It's basically for junior developers that want to apply for jobs and students or beginners. The requirements are super low because I'm going to be explaining everything for you. They just don't start from zero. So even if you haven't touched HTML and CSS for 3 months, you're going to be pretty much alright to follow as long as you just used it before. I hear the music running in the background, so this means only one thing. Let's drop this intro. Let's take a look on the final result. This is the website we are going to be building today. I want to test it on huge devices. Everything is centered as we see, and we're scrolling down. And now let's move it down to smaller screens, like even smartphones. I see everything adjusting accordingly, and the responsiveness looks great on all the devices. This is a good time to go download all the graphics we're gonna be using today. This is my website and you can find the link down below on the description of this YouTube video. We click on tutorials, we press the first one, and scrolling down, this is a short description of the lesson we are gonna be doing today. All you have to do is click the button download assets, save this RAR file, right click it and extract here. I'm gonna go ahead and open the draft. So this is just a photo that if you are working in a company, the graphic designers would prepare for you. So let's keep it open because we're gonna be using it as a guide to build our website. So we are in VS Code, we're gonna click create file and we write index.html. Enter. Let's close this panel, and by pressing one exclamation point and enter, it's giving us the starting code. First thing we change is the title. I'm gonna name it Thanos Portfolio, and I want you to follow me along with this one and write some comments. The first thing we did was change the title. If you highlight the whole line and you press Ctrl K and Ctrl C, it's gonna turn it into a comment. Let's open a meta tag. I press N and tab, and it's writing name for me. This meta tag is going to be our keywords, so we write name keywords. Next we add content. So here I want you to think a couple of keywords. Of course we're going to separate them with commas. I am going to write tutorial, web developer, get hired, minimalist, fresh, design, fun, and yay! And of course yours can be more serious than that. And don't forget to close the tag. As you can see, meta tags are self-closing. We don't have to close them separately. And let's open another one. This is going to be the description of our website. The reason I asked you to write first the keywords, it's because now it's easier to use the keywords as pieces of a puzzle in order to form a bigger sentence. So let me form my sentence. This tutorial is made to help my web developer friends get hired using the power of minimalist and fresh design while having some fun. Yay! And don't forget to close your tag because you're gonna have some errors. Now it's time for our next comment. The second thing we did was add meta tags for SEO. Highlight the whole line, press Ctrl K, Ctrl C, and turn it into a comment. Works every goddamn time. So if you want, you can add one more. Let's open meta, name, author. Here it's a good practice to add your first and your last name, so if recruiters Google you, they have higher chances to find your portfolio. So I hear some of you asking, what is SEO? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. So all these meta tags we wrote, we are basically writing them to communicate with the search engines. Like of course Google, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Bing, and all the rest. So let's do a real life example here. As some of you already know, I'm very passionate with portrait photography, and let's say that somebody heard about me but they don't really know which one is my site. They go on Google and they probably search something like Thanos and London photographer because they already know my name and that I'm based in London. So the first thing we see is my site. This means that my search engine optimization is very good. Especially for Google, the first thing that works is the title. That's why I have London photographer, the first thing in the title, because that's what people might search even if they don't know me. And then I put a slash and I put my website name, Thanos Studio, I put portraits, fashions, and I put some keywords that I really want them to work. So what are the keywords that we put on the website? Whatever I put on the search, it's basically keywords that we want to target. And as you see here, we have the link of my site, and underneath it has a small phrase. This is the description we just wrote. So your description is going to appear right here when people search for your site. I would strongly encourage you to get some more information about SEO, but we'll also talk about it on the next tutorial. Next thing we're going to need is CSS, so let's press new file and write styles.css. So we have the CSS ready, it's empty at the moment, we're gonna start writing inside it soon, but next thing we'll have to do is go back to HTML and link it so they communicate properly. Let's write our third comment, link CSS file, Control K, Control C. As you're trying to write link, you can press tab and it's going to autofill all these sections for you. So here by pressing dot and slash, it's opening all the available files for us, and just by clicking the one we need, it's going to autofill it. We just have to add one more section here, which is type, and we add text/CSS. In order to finish with all the meta tags, if we go back to our draft, we can see that we need this specific font. It has two weights that we need, and it's a Google font, so let's go on and link it. Let's open Google and go to Google Fonts. We are very lucky, Roboto is the first one. At this point I would like to give you a tip. If you are planning to use any crazy fonts, only use them on titles, because if you apply them on big bodies of text, it's gonna be very difficult for people to read. So I click the Roboto here and I add 100 and 500. And if we click this little button over here, we're gonna see that they prepared all the code for us. This is the HTML links, so let's copy the code and go right down here to paste it. It's better to press tab on these two lines so they go with the flow and we have a better structure. And of course don't forget to add the fourth comment, which is going to be link Google Fonts. Control S to put a save. And because we still have this one open, let's go on and copy the CSS code also, and we are going to paste it right here and turn it into a comment at the moment. We're gonna use it very soon. So the reason I told you to write all these comments, it's because every time you're gonna build a new project, you have to do all these steps. And you don't really have to memorize what you have to write. And you can always come back on this project, open this file, and by reading these comments and seeing this code, you're gonna remind yourself what steps you have to add on the meta tags. Let's move to the body. So let's go back to the draft and start building the site from the top. We have a comment here that says the navigation bar has a background color of white with 75% opacity and it's sticky. Sticky means that when you scroll down the site, the bar is following on the top of the screen with you. We'll have our title on the left and all the navigation main menu links on the right. Of course, we're going to do this in the body area. I wanna start with a header tag. On this side, the title of my page is Thanos Portfolio. I'd like to use the H1 here because this way I'm making sure that every time somebody is Googling my name and the word portfolio, we have higher chances to get our portfolio page higher than my Facebook, for instance. Next, we're gonna add the main menu, which is actually the navigation. So we do nav. Inside we have a UL, and inside we have 4 LIs. So right now I want to show you something that's going to make you very excited if you didn't know it already. If you hold Alt and Shift and you press the down arrow, you're gonna copy this line on the line below, and inside this lines now we can write home, about, projects, and contact. This is very standard procedure, so we can add another comment right here, which is the fifth step. We're gonna write build the main menu. We touch the whole line, Control K, Control C, we add the comment. Now that we actually wrote some HTML in the body, it's a very good time to right click our document and press Show Preview. So if you can't find the live preview, go here to extensions and write live preview. You find the one that's from Microsoft and has like at least 2 million downloads. Install. You can go on and close this panel, right click and show preview. So we see what we did here. This is actually plain text and the layout doesn't even look like what we are aiming for. We're gonna do some steps to bring it closer to that. First thing first, let's change the font. We'll go back to this comment and we will say for the whole body, we'll have the code ready, so I will just cut it from here, paste it here, and delete. Awesome. Immediately we see that the font is there. In the rare case that it didn't change the font to your file, go back to HTML and check this line that you are linking your CSS. It's probably having a typo. For instance, if I forgot to write text and I wrote text, now it's not linking properly. If I wrote style instead of styles, it doesn't link again. So this is a place to look for mistakes. So the next thing is to get rid of these bullet points. And of course, this is a preset that's coming from the Lee. The easiest way that everybody thinks about is to target the Lee and write list style equals none. The problem with this is that if for some reason you want to have something with bullets later on, it will make all the bullets disappear as well from down there. So one way to fix it is to say to the code that I want you to clean all the bullets from the list that are inside the navigation bar. It's easy to do that. We just say nav space, and now if you see on the example on the right, it disappears only on the children of the nav bar, and it doesn't really affect the rest of our HTML. So let's delete this one now. You see how all the bullets disappeared, but we still have everything pushed on the right a little bit. This is a preset from HTML, but this is a very good point to talk a little bit about browsers. Even though most of the people use Firefox and Chrome, the list of browsers out there, it's very, very long. And the problem with this is that every browser has different presets. So when you build a site and you only view it on Google Chrome, it might show okay, but the moment you open it on Opera or Safari or even Firefox, some things are gonna look different. So one good way to get rid of all the differences that they have out there, it's this one. We target everything and we write margin 0 pixels, padding 0 pixels. You see how immediately they came over here as well on the side. So we killed two birds with one stone here. And the last thing I want you to write is box sizing, border box. That's it. We hit save. And now it's like we reset every browser. No matter what browser anybody opens, they will show basically the same stuff. So another thing to consider is that this is plain text, but I want them to be buttons. So let's make some A's. Put them inside, create a link, href. Right now we'll leave it empty, we'll just put the number sign and boom. We have to do this on all of the lists. I want to show you something very exciting again if you didn't know it already. By holding down Alt and clicking on every line you want to write, you create this thingy and it's like 4 of you are typing at the same time. So we have A, we put the href, down here with tab, equals number sign, go 1 on the right, close the tab, and we put inside the allies 1, 2, 3, and 4. Boom. So I don't know about you, but I don't like these colors, I don't like these lines. Let's get rid of them. So again, we will follow this logic and we'll target all the A's that are inside the header. So I will say header, A, text, decoration, none, boom, and color. So this one is the dark gray, 383838. Now every time I have the cursor on top of them, I want them to change color and I want them to use the primary color. So let's copy the whole thing. We delete the decoration, none, we don't need it. And we put the two dots and we write hover. So let's delete this, and on the hover, let's see which one is the primary color, 6AB5D0. Perfect. Now this way, every time I hover over the links, I get our special primary color. Let's save both of our documents. So at this moment, I would like you to pause the video and brainstorm ideas of how you can turn this layout into this layout, because there are several different ways to do it. I will throw out some keywords that come to my mind, like display flex, space between. So pause the video and give it a try, and then come back to see my solution. Let's see. First thing I want to do is target header and try display flex, of course. Display flex. This looks better, but they are stuck together. I want to throw all these ones on the other side. I told you before, you don't have to memorize anything in coding. I decided to use display flex, so I'll go to Google and see what are my options. I'll write flex CSS. And let's try the first one. So let's see the photos, what we wanna do. This space between looks like it's the one that we are looking for. So we will go justify content, space between. Let's try that. Justify content, space between. Woo! The next thing I wanna do is target all the URLs and give them display flex as well. And again, if you do this display flex, it's gonna target all the URLs of your whole site. So to be safe, I will do only the child of the navigation bar. The next thing I wanna do, because they are stuck together, is to try some gap. But now they are all stuck to the right and I don't really like that. So let's undo this thing and go here that we target all the lists and give them margin right 40 pixels. This looks better to me. Remember that this is way too small. The normal website is gonna be around here. I will do the same to the H1. Margin left this time, 40 pixels. Let's put some color in order to see what's going on with the header. Background color, let's put some gray. All right. Let's give it some padding of 20 pixels. Let's increase the font size of these ones to 18 pixels. Better. So the next thing that annoys me a little bit is that this line is closer to the top than the bottom, and we have to bring them to the center. So we'll go to their parent, which is the header, and we'll tell it align items, center, boom. Now the only thing left to do is this comment actually, to give it background color white with 75% opacity and make it sticky. So we stay on the header, we say position fixed. So the moment we said position fixed, something happened over here. Let's fix it by giving width 100%. Let's test if it works. Looks like it works perfectly. The last thing to do is to set the background color to white. So we'll go background color white. But because we want to give transparency, we can't use this setting. We have to use the RGB codes and set all the three colors on 255, 255, and 255. This is white, and if you want to give the transparency, we will use RGBA, and we set the transparency to 0.75. If you are wondering why we see it still white, it's because we don't have anything on the background at the moment. So when we put the next div, everything is gonna make more sense. So the next thing we have to build on HTML is this section right here. We'll have one section that is called landing, which is represented by this box, and inside it, as we see, we'll divide it in the middle by two different divs. One would be this one that contains all the text, and the other one would be this one that contains all the graphics. Let's first set the structure of the divs. After the header, but inside the body, we go and we set a section with a class name of landing. Inside this section, we said we'll do two divs. So we'll have a div with a class of, let's name it part 1. Below it, we'll have another div with a class of part 2. I want to show you a little secret. If you press the dot and you write directly the class name, part 2, and you hit tab, it's going to create the rest of the code for you. Over here I have created all these graphics that we can use, and I think now it's the time to use them because we're going to need them to put them in these divs. So let's go back to the files we downloaded, and we go to the folder that says skills, and I want you to grab and copy the ones you're going to use. For instance, I don't know Angular yet, so I'm not going to grab that. I'm going to grab the ones I need, which is actually pretty much the rest. So we'll go to the file that we have our project, create a file, name it img for images, go inside and paste them. Let's go back again and grab also the logo, and let's have this one ready as well, and paste them both here so we are pretty much more ready. So as we said, this one is part 1. Inside part 1, I feel like I have to do 3 different divs that will include these 3 parts. One is gonna have image and text, the other one's gonna have the other text, and let's go on and do that. So going to part 1, we start with a div. We now know that if we press Alt Shift and down, we're gonna make 2 more divs. First one we said is gonna contain an image with source. If we press /, we now find the file we just created and we go to logo. It's a self-closing tab. Next I'm gonna start with my P, and inside I'm gonna write welcome to my portfolio. Next div is just gonna have text. Here you can learn a little bit about me, and the last one is gonna have text again, and view my personal projects. Very nice. Now let's start with the part 2. This is way easier because we only have to put all the images inside. Let's start with img and then source equals /. We click on the image file and I start with HTML. We close the tag, and now we're going to use again the Alt Shift and down arrow to fill all the rest, and I'm just going to change the names. We have HTML, I go CSS, JavaScript, VS Code, Node, React, Git, and WordPress. By the way, now that we can actually scroll down because we finally put some content on our page, it's a good time to try if our navbar is working properly and if it's sticky. And by scrolling down, we can see that opacity is there and it's actually following, so it's a sticky bar. So I soon want you to pause the video and try to experiment with CSS in order for you to take all this HTML and structure it so you can see this arrangement right here. Before you pause though, I want to give you some tips. As we see, if we scroll down, the whole site has a repeating pattern, which is that we will again in the future have 2 divs like that separate the next sections, and this pattern repeats also down in the projects right here. So we'll have to keep this one in mind, and that's the reason why I'm going to add a second class in the section landing, which is going to be half, and this class we're going to use it later on to split in half the next section whenever we need. And the second tip I want to give you is because I want to have full control of these 2 divs that they separate exactly in the middle. I'm going to use display grid and not display flex this time. So keep that in mind if you want your code to be same with mine. Now you can pause the video, experiment with CSS to get this layout done, and then come back to see my solution. I will target the div with a class landing. So I go dot landing. This is the dark gray background, which is the 383838. So let's give it that background color 383838. Very nice. Now I want to mess around with padding because everything is touching the edges, and our navigation bar is sticky so it gets on top of our content. But because I want to give different numbers for top, right, left and bottom, I want you to first write this comment: top, right, bottom and left. Let's highlight the line and press Ctrl K, Ctrl C, and then underneath we're writing padding, and we go 130 pixels, 60 pixels, another 60 pixels, and bottom 20 pixels. So this is a nice way to keep it together, and we write the comment for your future self if you want to use it again, or if you want to edit this to know which number represents what side. So next thing I'm going to do is to target the half class. As I told you before, I'm going to use display grid, and we're going to use grid template columns and grid template rows to create our grid template. So as we see here, we're gonna need 2 columns and 1 row. Let's go add this on our grid template: 2 columns of 1 fraction and 1 fraction, and rows, it's gonna be just 1 row of 1 fraction. We are slowly getting there. Now let's style all the paragraphs that belong in part 1. So we go dot part 1 space p. We're gonna give them color of white, font size of 3rem, and font weight of 100. Let's make the welcome to my portfolio go next to the image. We're going to do this by targeting the image dot part 1 space img, and we're gonna make it to float left. Very nice. As we see here, we have to add some space between the paragraphs, so we're going back here and we'll give it margin of 25 pixels. Here we see that the logo is pushing the text to the right a little bit, but on my preview they are nearly touching. Let's fix that. I want you to write another comment now: top and bottom, comma, right and left. Let's grab the whole line, Ctrl K, Ctrl C, and we're going to use some padding, 0 pixels and 20 pixels. Way better. Let's open the page on the browser to have a better look. It would be nice to right click our document and be able to open it in the browser. In order to do that, we go right here to the extensions, we write open, open in browser. It has 8 million downloads, so let's install it. Perfect. Now we go back, let's close this tab and open in default browser right here. So one thing I see here is that this line jumps on top of the logo. Let's try to fix this. If we go display flex, we can choose direction column, which means that all these divs we have in here, they're going to be one on top of each other. So we target dot part 1 display flex, flex direction column. Let's hit save, refresh. Boom. The other thing I see is that these ones are kind of gathered together over this side, but on the draft they occupy the space in a much better way. Now we will target part 2 dot part 2. We'll give it some padding top, 50 pixels, text align right. I know we don't have text, but it actually works for the content and the photos. Let's test it, refresh. Boom, it's on the right. And now let's target the images dot part 2 space img, and we'll give them a margin of 5 pixels. Let's hit save, Ctrl S and refresh. Looks perfect actually. So the last thing to do is style these words. That the whole sentence is white and thin, but these words are bold and they use the primary color. And if we scroll down, we see that this pattern continues, And the best way to do it universally is to use span. Let's go back to our HTML. So we'll open a span on the word portfolio. We hold down Alt on the word about me and on the word projects, and we open span, close it, boom. Now let's just put all these three words inside the span by clicking, highlighting, and drag and drop, and projects. Boom. Right now, actually, in the page, nothing really changed, but we'll go to CSS and we'll style the span. So firstly, let's make it bold, font weight 500, and then let's give it the primary color. This one right here. Hit save, refresh, perfect. So at this point, our landing section is done. You can take a moment and congratulate yourself. Woo! But before we move to the next section, I want to talk a little bit about the primary color. I want to take a moment and take a look on all the colors we are using. So here we have a light blue, which is the primary color. And then we are using white, gray, white. Actually, here we have two background colors. Let's delete this one. Anyways, it was getting replaced by that because it's further down on the coding. So other than the primary color, we are using white and gray, and there is a reason for that. We give all the focus on the primary color, and that's why we call it primary color. Also, I use light blue. Maybe you like another color more. Maybe on the site you are working, they change the logo after a year, or they do a rebranding. So you will have to change the primary color on all the places you applied it. Let's correct this right now. We go right up here where we selected everything and we say dash dash prime dash color equals this color. Copy, paste. Perfect. Now we go to all the places that we use the primary color, and instead of putting the code of the color, we replace that and we write var open parenthesis dash dash prime color. We can hit tab here and we close it. Let's copy the whole thing and replace it here too. And from now on, instead of using the primary color hex code, we are gonna be using this line. So if now I wanna change it to, let's say, red, Control S and refresh, it's changing to red here automatically, and it's changing to red right here as well, and it will be changing to red all over where we use it. So this is a good tip. Let's undo that, hit save and refresh. So after this amazing tip, we can move on to the next section. So on HTML we will create a section which is going to be about. Inside it we will have one div, which I'm gonna name it text because it contains all the text. And next to it is gonna be another div which I'm gonna name photo. So this is the basic structure we're gonna be building on HTML. So let's go do that. Let's hit a couple of enters here. We start with a section. We give it a class name of about. So next one is going to be a div with a class name of text. So we can straightforward write dot text, hit tab, ready, and underneath it, it's going to be another div with class name of photo dot photo, tab, boom. Let's move this one. So our first line is a title. Intuitively, maybe you will want to use an H1, but I have to remind you that we used an H1 up here. This was more of a best description of the site to me, so I used it here. And we can only use one H1 for every page. So if you put another one, it's going to give a red flag on the search engines like Google, and it will not be good for our website. So we are going and use an H2 here, and we'll say, nice to meet you, I am Thanos. Underneath, we're going to use a normal paragraph. So I didn't want to bore you by seeing me type all these things, so I fast forward to putting them. One thing that's very annoying actually when you write big chunks of text, we have this scrolling effect that you don't see the end of it. So if this annoys you as much as it annoys me, we go File, Preferences, Settings. We write here wrap, and we go to word wrap and we turn it on. Boom, and everything is fixed. If you see this gap and it looks peculiar to you, it's because this is still one line. It's just wrapping it so you can read it. And on the next div, we're going to put a photo. So now we have two choices. Either you can put one of your photos. I would like you to go on your Facebook and find a photo that doesn't look too serious. For instance, I had some portrait sessions and I have some photographs that are like professionally taken, but they are too serious, like this one or that one, or this is an older one. So the mindset is that you don't want to put something that you look very serious here. You want to put a photo that you are smiling at least, or even better, laughing, because you want to make sure that whoever is seeing this, they feel immediately that you are fun to be around and they want to invite you to their workspace. They're going to be spending with you at least 8 hours per day, which means that they will spend more time with you than with their own families. So you have to make sure that they understand that you are fun to be around and you are not a grumpy person. So some people don't want to use their own photo. This is pretty much okay, but you have to keep in mind every time you build a site, we have something that's called photo to text ratio. So in that case, it doesn't mean that you will not use any photo here and you will keep only text, because this is going to be very boring, and also it will ruin the layout. There is a reason why the photo is here, because up here we have graphics. You need something realistic to bring the whole layout back to life. So if you don't want to put your own portrait here, you can go on Google and find some free photo, something like that for instance, or this or that. You get the idea. And the last thing we have to check is that it's gonna be way better if you put a square photo here, so you can crop it to be square and you're gonna be alright. So I have my photo ready. I go to IMG file and I paste it here. I renamed it to portrait square and it's 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels. So by clicking this photo, we can see down here that it's 760 kilobytes. This is huge for web. If we check on our graphics, there are only 9.3 kilobytes. So this photo is hundreds of times larger than that. If you are using Photoshop, I will show you one way to fix that. We go to File, Export, Save for Web. We make sure that we click up here JPEG high quality. So if I have it max, it's gonna be 700. So we can go even down to 40%. It doesn't look that broken and it drops it significantly down. This is 7 times smaller, so it's a big deal, and we save it like that. If you don't have Photoshop, you can do that with pretty much any photo editor. There are some tools online that you can do it for free. So a pretty nice hack that I found is that you can go on Facebook, open Messenger, send the photo to yourself. Yes, you can do that. And then download it from Messenger. Messenger is known to have a huge compression on images. So if you download the photo after sending it to yourself from Messenger, it's gonna be super compressed and web ready. So of course we open an image tag, source dot slash, we open the folder img, which is images, and my photo is the portrait square JPEG. Close the tag, we are done. So let's see what we got, and oh my god, this looks depressing to me. So you guys have to pause the video right now and try to fix it. Turn it into this layout. I'm not gonna give you any hints this time, but after you are done, make sure to come back to the video and see my solution, because I always have things to teach you guys. You know it already, right? Come back to me, please. I have no friends. Subscribe. Donate. Okay, that came out creepy. Let's put some nice music and go back to coding again. Let's hit some enters. We'll target H2. We will start with color 38338, classic. Font weight 100. Font size 3 rem. Here we see the title is all capital, so let's fix that by text transform uppercase. Moving down to the text, we target all the paragraphs. We go again color 383838, please. Font size 2 rem, slightly smaller than the title, and font weight 100. Let's go on HTML. You remember how we styled the half class on the previous section? We're gonna just add it here, and by writing half, save, go back, refresh, and it's not really half because the image is 1000 pixels. So let's fix that. We target .about space img, and we give it a width of 100%, please. Save, refresh, and thank you very much. Everything is back to normal. Let's give it some space so the text can breathe. We go to H2 and we write margin, 10 pixels top and bottom, 50 pixels right and left. Boom. Let's copy this and go to paragraphs and just change the 10 to 25. This is way better. Now it looks like all we have to do is put some spans. So let's find the words we want to highlight, and we hold down Alt and we click before them. One for me is you, web developer, portfolio, passion, and detail. So now we open a span, we close it, and all we have to do is highlight the words and drag and drop them inside the span. Of course, if you used a different text here than mine, the only thing you have to do is to find the words you want to highlight and just use the span around them. Let's hit save and see what we've done. Nice. One little detail here. This is a straight line, but on the layout it goes down to a second line, so we have to just break it. So after the nice to meet you, we add a BR. That's it. Nice. So one last thing that annoys me is that we don't have a lot of air up here to breathe. Here the situation is better, especially if I remove these two things. You can see that the space is larger. So it's the last little thing to do. Sorry to bring you back, guys. And we'll target the dot text div and give it margin top 40 pixels. Now we are done. Woo! Let's move to the next section. So let's see here. We have one section that is the whole thing. We're gonna name it projects, and inside we're gonna have some text like the other time and one photo. However, this one, let's name it details. And I feel like we will have to wrap each project on its own div, which they're going to be separated by this line here. And once we have this thingy ready, we can just copy paste and copy paste and copy paste and prepare space for 4 projects. Looks like pretty simple. Let's go set up the HTML first. Let's hit enter twice. We'll start with a section with class name projects. Let's give it some space because we're gonna put a lot of things inside. Let's start with a comment. This is going to be project 1, highlight, Control K, Control C. So we'll have one div that's going to wrap the whole project. And inside we will separate it in 2 divs. One will contain the photo and the other one will contain the details. So one div for the photo. We can even go on and put it inside image source dot slash. We go to the img folder and we select project photo. We close the tag and then we go underneath to put a div with a class dot details tab and enter. Ready. On the details, we will start with an h2, which is gonna be our title for this project. And I'm going to write title of first project. Then we'll have a paragraph. Let's fill it up with some random text. This is the description of your first project. Remember to keep it not too short, but also not too long. About this length will be alright, I guess. Do you agree? And after that, we're gonna have a button that says visit project. And we want this button to go somewhere, so let's wrap it around an A with href of number sign at the moment. We close it and we highlight the closing tab to make sure it includes the whole button. While we are here, let's give a span already. Span, which is going to include this thingy. So this div right here that contains the image div And the details div, we already know that these two will have to split them in half. So we can give it right now a class name of half. Let's tighten up this closing div as well. And I think we are pretty much done here. Let's press save and see what we've done. Refresh, please. Oh. At this point, I think you can pause the video and style the first project by yourself. The only thing we haven't covered already is how to style this button. And other than that, I just noticed that the color of this text, it's too dark. On our draft here, it's way softer. So I want to give you the right hex code right now so you don't struggle with that. We go back to CSS and we change the P with 80, and we do the same one with H2 and better. So as we see here, in order to unify the section projects, now let me delete all these things so we can see it clearly. We'll give it a background of light gray. So we go dot projects, light gray is E5, E9, E9. Once we are here, I will give it a padding of 100 pixels, padding 100 pixels, please. So I don't see the background. Let me go back and check with target dot projects. And here I have capital P. Make sure that everything is exactly the same. Nice. So our image is a bit larger than expected. We want here to stop directly in the middle, but there are also some small details here we'll have to check out. One is the round corners, and the other one is that it has a light shadow beneath it. These adjustments, we have to do them directly in the photo and not on the div that surrounds it. So I'll go on HTML and I will give my image a class name. Class equals proj photo, which stands of course for project photo. I will just copy that, go to styles and go dot, paste proj photo, and we go inside and we'll start writing. So by now we know we have to give it a width of 100% so it contains the space we want it to contain, like we did on the about image. Next thing is the round corners. We go on and give it border radius of 10 pixels, and the last thing left to do is to put some shadow. If we Google about the syntax, we can copy this comment right here, paste it in our file. So the first number here is offset X if you want to move it to the right or to the left. The second one is offset Y if you want to move it up or down. The next one is the blur radius because the shadow has a blurriness as it fades out. And the last one is the color. We are planning to have it centered, so we go 0 pixels right and left, 0 pixels up and down, blue radius of 10 pixels so it's a bit more visible but also discrete, and the color we can give RGB, which stands for red, green and blue, and we will set all the colors to 105, and we are pretty much ready here. Refresh, boom. So it looks like the only thing left to do is the button styling. One thing I want to fix for sure is when I hover over the button, the cursor to change it into a hand so people know that it's a button actually. And the most classic thing you can do is to Google button HTML, go inside, find some example, copy like this style for instance, and paste it in your CSS and start changing things and experimenting with it. However, I will give you all my settings right now. So now I will just write button because I want to target all the buttons of the whole site to have a unified look. And we start with display inline block. We go padding 15 pixels and 25 pixels, margin 0 pixels and 50 pixels, font size 24 pixels. I change the cursor to pointer, text align center, text decoration none, outline none, color white, and this is the color of the text inside. Background color, it's gonna be our primary color, but I'm not gonna give the hex code. We're gonna copy the var, so it's gonna be dynamic. Border none, and border radius 15 pixels. Let's hit save and see what we've done here. Nice. Last thing left to do is when you hover over it, I want to change color. So we write button, 2 dots, hover, background color 80. Very nice. Next thing we had is this line that separates each project. Usually for these decorative lines, we use the HR tag. You can read some documentation online if you're interested. However, if you don't, you can just see my styling over here. The important thing to know is that it's a self-closing, like BR, we just use it. So we can copy that, go to our HTML, and this is project 1. We go after it and we just place one HR. Let's hit save. Of course, we have to style it. So we go on CSS, we target the HRs. This is pretty much a simple line. We'll give it a display block, border width 1 pixel, border color. We'll use this var for the primary color. So it looks good, but I want to give it some margins so it stops earlier and it has some air top and bottom. Let's do that. We go margin 80 pixels and 400 pixels. It's a lot of pixels. Control S to save, refresh, looks way better. So why we put this comment here, it's so we can easily grab all the way up here, copy it. So when you paste it, make sure you go on the back and hit paste. And now we start changing some stuff. This is the project number 2. We will change the span here because this is the title of the second project, and inside the text we say this is the description of our second project. Other than these simple changes, we see here that the images swap from the left side to the right side and back again. So let's do that. I will cut this div, Control X, and paste it after the details. Make sure again that you go in the beginning and you paste it here. Let's close this gap as well. Hit save and see what we've done. So this is the first project. This is the second project. What we can see here is that the text is aligned on the left. On the first one is okay. On the second one is not okay because it looks weird. We want it centered this way. So how can we do this without affecting the top one? I will target this div that contains the whole thing, and I will give it a second class name, which is gonna be named left, because this text is on the left. Control S. So now I'll target the class left dot left, and all I'm gonna do is gonna write text align right. This one stayed the same, this one changed. So what we can do next is copy from HR the whole thing, project 1 and project 2. We hit some enters, we go in the beginning and we press Ctrl V, which is paste. So now we have project 1, project 2, we go to project 3, we change the title, this is the third title, and in here we go over third project, scroll down, this is project 4, we change the title, fourth, we change the text, fourth, and we hit save, refresh, boom. Of course we build this like a template, and if you are wondering, we are gonna be replacing this photo with photos of our projects. So we're gonna start building projects very soon, and we're gonna be putting them here. If you already have some projects you wanna showcase, it's gonna be very easy. You will just go to the HTML, change the title, change the description, set up your link, and replace the photo. So everything else is gonna be ready. So what's left to do is contact me, and footer, we can do these two things together because footer is super small. It's just this little thing. Contact is gonna be the whole thing above. So how to structure this thing? We're gonna have one big div out here. We're gonna drop one HR down there, and then one more div for all the social. Here we're gonna have our H2, one paragraph. And this is the weird part because I want to put them in line. I feel like I will have to use one container that has inside two smaller divs. So this way I can give on the container display flex. So the two childs inside are gonna be in the same line. So I can name the parent container inline and the two children social. So this is the main structure we're gonna build on HTML. If you want, you can pause the video and try it for yourself, or keep watching and we structure it together. Let's hit a couple of enters and open our new section with a class name of contact. Inside I put our h2 contact me. Then we open the paragraph. Thank you for visiting my portfolio page. Let's add a break here. Feel free to contact me using any of the available options. I will be glad to hear from you. Then we decided that we're gonna have a parent div with a class name of inline. We go on and write dot inline, and inside it's gonna have two divs with a class of social. So we go dot social tab alt shift down, and we have two of them. We go on the first one, we open a paragraph, and we're gonna put our phone number. I'm gonna put +44 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. The +44 was bold, so we can open a tag that says strong, close the tag, and put the +44 inside. The other div is gonna have another paragraph with our email. I will just write my email at gmail.com. We also have to add the social photos. Let's go back to our downloaded files, and we'll have a new folder called social. I will grab the whole folder, Ctrl-C to copy it, and I will go inside our image folder and I will paste it as it is. So you can either take all those small bits and drop them in here and mix them with the other ones, but because it's gonna be a huge mess of a lot of little photos, I like more the structure, so I like to organize stuff and put them in their own folders so they stay together, and I think this way works better for me. You can use whatever works for you. We are not in the army here, so let's go back here and add our image with a source. We hit /, we go inside the image folder, we go inside the social folder, and I grab the phone one, close the tag because it's a self-closing tag. We do the same for the email here. After that we said we'll have one HR, boom, and after that we'll have one div to rule them all with a class name of, now that I think about it, this doesn't make sense to name it social because we're gonna put the social buttons down there. So contact we used already. Let's name this info because it's our personal information. Copy it, paste it here, and then we'll name that one .social. It makes more sense that way. And inside we're just gonna drop all our photos. Image with a source, we go /, again we do all this path, and let's start with LinkedIn. So these ones we want them to work as links as well. We can click them and they take us there. Let's add an A. Let's put the href with a number sign. We drop the whole thing inside the A. So here we have to talk a little bit about the links, that when you click this image, if I put my LinkedIn profile link, it will take me there, but it will replace in the same tab the whole site. So my whole portfolio is going to be replaced by LinkedIn, and I don't want that because it's called click away. You click something and you go away from the site. I want the person that clicked it to open LinkedIn in a new tab, so he can come back way easier by clicking my portfolio tab that it's gonna be still open. In order to do that, we add here target equals -blank. So we press Alt Shift down, and we just replace the names of the photos. I will add Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Here I prepared some more for you, like Behance or WhatsApp or whatever you like. You can mix and match them. And actually, let's just write one here, like https://www.youtube.com, just to test it that it opens in a new tab. Let's scroll down, and YouTube, boom, it opens in a new tab. I believe we can tidy it up here. And the last thing we have to add is one simple line that we're gonna name footer. So we go section with a class name of footer, and inside I'm gonna say just thanosportfolio.com, one line, 2023. In order to add the copyright symbol, we press Alt, Shift, and C never works for me. I don't know about you guys. I usually just Google it, copying it and pasting it here, and my name. And believe it or not, these are not random characters that I pressed on the keyboard. We hit save and you know what time it is. It's time to pause the video and turn all this mess into this thing. See you later. So as we see here, the contact minutes a bit smaller than the normal H2. We can either name it H3 and we can go on and style it as H2, whatever feels better for you. I will just go on and style it like that. So I go dot contact space H2, font weight 500, font size 30 pixels. Color, we're gonna borrow this little line over here. Control C, Control V. Now let's go dot contact slash paragraphs and we're gonna make it font size a little bit smaller than the H1. Let's go 25 pixels. Let's go up here actually and add the contact itself, the whole div. We have to give it a background color of 383838. We're gonna go on and say text align center because this is the moment that we actually break this pattern that we have 1, 2 here, blah blah blah, and everything is united in the center. Let's target the inline dot inline and give it the display flex that we promised. I want to see what we've done, please. So these ones came in line together, but they are on the side. Let's go on and add justify content center. Nice. So right now I am on Google Chrome. If I right click something and press inspect, we can see some stuff here. I have this div right here that it tells me it has a class of info and the other one has a class of info as well. So I can go on and give this to display flex as well to get this photo aligned with the text, and accordingly that one as well. Let's try this. So .info display flex. Whoa. So we do have them in line, but the photos are kind of stretched. I don't like this at all. Being a graphic designer, every time I see a stretched image, something breaks inside me. So if you were doing this all alone, what you should have done as troubleshooting, it's of course Google it. So I've Googled display flex image stretch and I press the first one and blah blah blah. They say that it's stretched because of align self, and supposedly if we grab this thingy and paste it in our code, it's going to fix everything. So let's target .info space image, refresh, perfect. Of course, we have to experiment a little bit with all the gaps around here, and I will give you my solution right now. So contact H2, we give it a margin of 15 pixels. Contact paragraphs, we give it a margin of 50 pixels. Inline, we give it a gap of 50 pixels. Let's see what we've done until now. So I want to give some padding on the whole section because on the top and the bottom is touching the whole edges. Let's go contact padding 50 pixels, way better. And now these spaces are actually huge. So I want to change only the piece here, but I don't want to mess around all the other piece. Let's go inspect. So we see that these ones are children of the div info. So we'll go on and target those ones only. Can go .info, can put this sign if you like, and we'll go margin 0 pixels. Let's see if it's better. Looks way better to me. So these ones are buttons, so I want some interactivity when I hover the mouse over them. So I will turn them to 60% opacity, and when we hover over them, we will give them 100% opacity. So let's do that. We go .social, we target the images, and we just go opacity 0.6 please, and then we target the same thing but on the hover. So we put the 2 dots and hover, and we change the opacity to 1. Boom, perfect. The only thing left to do is this little line down here. Let's go target dot footer, background color of black, color of white, font size 20 pixels, text align, you guessed it, center, and some padding of 20 pixels. Hit save. Let's inspect. Whoa. Let's change the weight. This is too bold. So we go also font weight 100. And now we're ready. So one thing we left behind is that these buttons are actually doing nothing. If I press them down, they just bring me on the top and they do nothing else. How are we gonna tell them where to take us? We'll go back to the HTML. We're gonna use the ID property. As you see, they have an href here that's just a number, which means it's empty. So we'll go in every class. This class is a landing. We can name it home, this one, like the button. We'll go to about, we give it an ID of about. Go to projects, we give it an ID of projects. We scroll down all the way to contact, give it an ID of something different this time. No, contact. So we go up here, we keep the number and we write next to it home. This actually means that you stay on the same page and you use the anchor points. And if you didn't have the number, it's gonna expect that you are going to your domain name /home. So we keep the number and we write home, about, projects and contact. Let's hit save and see what we've done. Okay, looks like it works, but it's very aggressive transition. I want to make this thing more elegant, so it's gonna be scrolling around from one position to the other. This is very easy to do nowadays. You just go on your CSS. So I'll go after the asterisk and I will target the whole HTML document and we'll add scroll behavior smooth. Hit save and believe it or not, that's it. Refresh here, don't forget to refresh here. And we go about, projects, contact. How cool is that, guys? Whatever you press, it's scrolling to this. This is amazing, right? I get too excited for these things. I'm like a little kid here, but I'm very happy for you if you reach this point. Some people like to go up here and change it to, let's say, big screens. You can say like 4K resolution, and they do the site for this dimension. Then they go down to laptops, and then they work their way like iPad and smartphones. The thing is that there's always gonna be crazy devices with spaces in between, and I would like to advise you that the way we're gonna do it now is a bit different. We'll start from huge devices, okay? We'll just work our way down and we'll see when does our site break. And we'll use that number, for instance, 958. I don't like this arrangement. I will go on and change it here. So we'll find all the points that our website breaks and we're gonna fix those. So by starting from a big screen and fixing all the breaking points to the small size, then you're gonna be pretty much covered for all the devices. Because if you go individually for large screens, then iPads, and then phones, maybe you miss something in between. In order to see the same things with me, you can go to responsive here, and let's put a crazy number like 4,000 here. Whoa. And of course the people that are gonna visit your site through a 4K screen are like pretty much limited. It's gonna be like 1 or 2 people, I don't know. But our job is to debug pretty much every single scenario, yeah? So let's see where our site looks more like unified and better. It looks around here, 106,000 pixels. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go to my CSS, I'm going to the body and I will say to it max width equals 1600 pixels. Save. And let's go back to the browser, refresh, and now when I open it back to the 4K, we see that my site stays there. I basically said to my site, listen, on 1.6 you look great, so everything higher than that, just stay 1.6. There are some things that are broken here, like all these things went on the side, and also my side is not centered. I would like it to be centered. Let's start fixing these little bugs. We go to the body and we're gonna do a little hack here. We're gonna say margin 0 space auto. This right here is going to center everything. It might be a good idea to keep some notes here, so I'm gonna write limit the width, center the content, Control K, Control C. I just realized you don't have to highlight the whole line. You just press Control K, Control C while being on the line, and it turns it into a comment. I guess you never stop learning. You remember how our navigation bar kind of disappeared? We'll copy the max width and we're going to paste it in the header as well. And it's back. So what I'm thinking to do right now is to grab some places like the projects, the contact and the footer, and expand these colors on the right and left. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a good idea to keep some of them strict and some of them flexed, but you can go on and follow me on this one and do it to the ones you like or not do it at all. So let's go to the end of my CSS and I will grab some sections only. I will do dot projects, comma, dot contact, comma, dot footer. So I'm targeting all these three at the same time. I'm gonna give them some styling. What I'm gonna write here, it's pretty classic and you can Google about it and educate yourself in depth if you want to learn more about these things. So we're writing width 100 VW. VW is the current viewpoint and it's actually like the device you are using at the moment. I said I'm not gonna explain, but I started explaining already. We're gonna use position relative, boom, left 50%, right 50%, margin left minus 50 VW, and margin right again minus 50 VW. Let's hit save, refresh, boo. So by doing that, we actually broke the projects. If you want, you can go in and try to debug the projects. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the projects from here, so we only keep the contact and the footer for this solution. So projects have this background color. I will copy it and I will go on the whole body and paste this background color right here, hit save. So this is a way easier fix. You see this we had before, I refresh it and we have this. That used to be a white background, this area here. I'm gonna target it and give it that white background back. So this area is the about. Let's go find dot about. Looks like we never used it. I will go about here and I will press dot about and I'm giving it a background color of white, please. Refresh and our white is back. So all the way to the huge screens, I'm pretty happy with the result we have. So let's go to smaller screens now. We earlier calculated that around 1600 pixels our site was kinda perfect looking, so that's why we locked it in this dimension, and we're gonna start going down and checking what breaks and what doesn't. I think I will go around 1080 pixels and I will start fixing things here. So now I go to the bottom of my CSS, I add my media queries. We go dot media, I say max width 1080 pixels. We open our brackets. So the top looks alright. This one I think I can live with it because if I break it and separate the photo from the text and I have only the text here and the photo underneath, I think the photo is gonna be huge and I want it to be a little bit more discreet. I don't want my face to look on the whole screen of 1080 pixels, so I'll save this for later. So the thing I want to undo is this. You remember we put these things next to each other by using the half, so I'm going to target dot projects dot half to break these divs apart. So I go inside my media query, I say dot projects dot half. So I only target the half classes of the projects specifically. If you remember, the half class was display column. So now I'm gonna give it a display flex and flex direction column. Save it, refresh. So this looks better to me. However, some stuff do not look great. For instance, Here I have my photo on the top and then the text. Of course I can center this, it's very easy. I don't like that before we had right and left, yeah, so we had photo text, text photo, this made sense. But on this arrangement we have photo text, I want photo and text again. So how are we gonna do that? If you have any ideas, you can pause the video and think about this little problem. If you don't, continue watching and I will solve it for you. So right here I said display flex, and if you remember back in the HTML we used a very special class that is named left, and it's only used when the photo is on the right, like project 2 and project 4. So we go dot projects dot left. We already have display flex, and if you see here we have a flex direction that is named column reverse, and it's this one right here, and we'll go flex direction column reverse. We hit save, we refresh, and now we have photo text, photo text, photo text, photo text. The thing is that we have to center all these texts now. This is pretty easy. Let's go back to the CSS. I will target dot projects, text align center. Very nice. The dot left doesn't listen to me, so let's talk to it again. So maybe we can add it here. Let's put comma dot left, save it. Let's hope he listens this time, this stubborn left thing. Okay, it did listen. So I think the photo is pretty huge. I want to limit it a little bit. So remember that this is only on 62%. This is the normal one, so it's pretty big of a photo. So I will go dot project photo. Let's give it a width of 70%. Margin bottom 40 pixels. Refresh. That's way better. And also what I want to show is that you see this HR little line, because we had a huge padding, because on the big screens we wanted it to be shorter. This is a result that on the smaller screens the huge padding makes it nearly disappear, so we'll have to fix that too. So we go HR and I write margin 80 pixels and 200 pixels. Way better. So this looks perfect. Let's move down to smaller screens. So this now starts to become a problem with me, and this one I think it starts to look a bit weird, to be honest. I will go to 950 pixels. Let's open a new media query. Media max width 950 pixels. So now we target the rest of the half classes, and we can copy these two lines and paste them right here. Let's hit save. All right. This I don't like. Let's see what we will have here. It's the part 2. I want them to be centered. So I go dot part 2, text align center please. And I hear some of you say, it's not a text. I know it's not a text, but this works. So chill please. Now I have my huge photo here of my face. I'm sorry about that, but everything else looks pretty much okay. And let's shrink it more. So around here this line becomes very small again. This line is hunting me, man. And maybe the logos, I can make them a bit smaller. I don't want to occupy a huge screen. We are around 650 we said. Let me copy that please. From 950 we go to 650. Have to add a closing tab. Now we'll target the HR, which is right here before. Let's turn this to 100, and then it was all the logos of the part 2, so we'll go dot part 2 space images. Now we'll give them a width of 100 pixels. Let's try that. Refresh. Oh, this is very nice. I'm not sure why I get so excited about these things, but this looks way better to me already. And let's see the lines, and the lines look okay. Let's go smaller. Ooh. So I see here the main menu collapsing. As you see, everything is crashing, and maybe these two are very close together as well, and we'll have to make them go one on top of each other. Let's fix these two things. The thing with the main menu actually is that the only thing it does when you click is scrolling, and when you're on your phone you don't really need this thing, Maybe on another video we'll put some JavaScript to turn it into a hamburger menu, but for now, because this video is just too long, we will just make it disappear on mobiles. So let's copy that media query and put another one. Right now we were on, let's say, 600 pixels. So we'll make the whole navbar disappear. So we go nav display none, save, boom. So the people can just scroll, they have fingers, so don't worry about it. And once we are here, let's make these two go one on top of each other. So we target the dot in line. They are already display flex, but we're gonna change the flex direction to column. Whoa. This looks actually like it's an effect from a design point of view. This is actually pretty brilliant to me. I don't know how we managed to stay right there, but it looks phenomenal. Why they are not centered actually? Let's see. They are the children of contact. Contact is text align centered. Let's try align items center, and it worked. So sometimes you just have to do trial and error. So as we go a bit smaller, we see that all the text is too big for this screen. So we have to actually do a lot of changes on padding, margin, font sizes, and all these things. You can of course play around and experiment with these things, but I'm gonna give you my solution now, and I'm gonna put everything on this specific media query. I'm going to shrink a little bit the photos on my info, which was the cell phone and the mail. So I go .info space img, width 40 pixels. I will target my footer, footer, font size 16 pixels, text align left, and padding 10 pixels. I'm gonna target the HR for the millionth time, and this time I'm just gonna give it a universal margin of 40 pixels. Contact paragraphs, font size 20 pixels, margin left 20 pixels, contact padding 20 pixels, text align left, H2, font size 2 rem, margin 20 pixels. Now let's target all the paragraphs, font size 1.5 rem, and margin another 20 pixels. We go projects and we give it padding 50 pixels and 10 pixels. Part 2 images, width 70 pixels. Logo, padding 0 pixels. Let's see what we've done until now. This looks good. Perfect. These ones, I guess I will put them back on the left. So I go here and delete that. So why I do these things is because this is kinda the end of the site, and I want to have different alignment. Before, if you remember, we had this structure that everything is split in two, and this part was centered. So as we go down, these ones change the alignment and they become centered. So this one I want to separate a little bit, and that's why I aligned it on the left, just in case you're wondering. So I'm actually pretty happy. If you go even down to 400 pixels, everything can be read and looks great. So one thing I left behind on purpose, because I want you to go everything through detail. And if you see right here, there is a small white line. It was there bugging me the whole time, and I didn't say anything to you because I wanted to see which ones of you are gonna figure this out and find out why this is happening. In the beginning, I thought that just the text or the margin is pushing the div a little bit higher, but it's actually not that, because even if our text is smaller, this line still exists. And even when we have the photo below, if you zoom in like crazy, you can still see a white small border. So this is some random malfunction that we can get rid of it by targeting the image and writing display block. Let's try it, please, because I can't see this anymore. So that was the photo of the about, and I see it targeted here. And we'll go display block, please, hit save, refresh, and it's gone. Woo! So we successfully debugged the whole site. We made it perfectly responsive.
So that was the video. I want to thank you so much that you stayed all this time with me. If you made it to this point, you are like a superhero to me, and I'm super interested to see what you did and if you altered the theme and if you changed stuff. Just make sure you don't miss the next video, because I'm gonna show you how to get your domain name, set up your server, upload your website to the internet so we can visit it from the phone and see how it looks on the phone, and send it to all your friends to get some feedback. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate this time you spent with me, and I can't wait for us to start the projects and use some JavaScript and crazy stuff and basically start filling up the project section.
I seriously want to take a moment and congratulate you. This is a huge deal. You now have your own site. Of course, today you can leave it like that and sleep on it. You already did enough, but I would be more than happy to see you altering this theme, making your own modifications. I chose the light blue as a color. It's super easy for you to make your own adjustments. For instance, you can write here purple, save, and boom, it already changed on all the places we used. This of course a sample photo, we're gonna be replacing it anyways, so don't worry about this photo that still has a blue color. As you see, everything else adjusted. And of course, feel free to post your final result on the comments below the video on YouTube, and of course on my website. If you go on the tutorials and scroll down, you can leave a comment below. If you made it this far and you appreciate this video, consider to donate something for me. Even £1 is gonna be amazing for me. This tutorial took me like a month to build. I had of course to build the website from scratch, pretty much like you did right now. Then record the whole video, edit it, and it's super time consuming. And of course I have to take this time out of other projects I'm doing. It's pretty easy. You just click add to cart and then you can go and check out. You can either use PayPal or proceed with your business card or whatever you like. It's pretty straightforward and easy, and I would truly appreciate that.